This week has been a really interesting week. I have been talking about this most recent season of a really dry period where I just wasn't receiving a whole lot from the Lord. When I would ask for what word He has for me, I would hear silence a lot. So as I've come out of that season of silence and dryness, one of the images that kind of came to mind was a bag of rice, right? So long story short, my husband was injured on Monday night. It wasn't that bad. That sounds bad, the way I just said that. But he had an injury. He was playing softball, tore a muscle. And so I was talking about it at work with someone who was there, and kind of saying, he was like, how's he doing? And I was like telling him what we did and everything to treat it. And then he was like, hey, what did y'all do or whatever? So I was telling him like, oh, just some anti-inflammatories and things like that. And he was like, oh, rice. And I was like, and so I had this image flash in my mind, like when your cell phone or any kind of device gets wet and you put it in a bag of rice to like draw out the moisture. And I was like, rice? And he was like, yeah, like the acronym is what he meant. Like rest, ice, compression, elevation. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is what we did, actually, all of that. But it was so interesting because this is the day that the Lord is like renewing my like being with Him. And so everything is like an image or a flood or a new word. And so He shows me this word really because I misunderstood what this guy was talking about. Because I was like, you put it in rice, like your injury. And he was like, no, like whatever. But then the Lord reminded me, like, when you get something wet that's not supposed to be wet, you put it in rice and it draws out the moisture. And He reminded me, like, when you have had a season of dryness, moisture is drawn to you. Like it. So at this point, I'm like not drinking from a fire hose because I'm not drowning, but I'm just soaking up every drop. And it is just like, it's not drawing it out of Him, but it's like a magnet, like it is completely drawn and it's drawing all this new thing. So I'm like, okay, Lord, keep drawing all of your refreshment to me. I don't want to be thirsty ever again for a word from you. I don't want to be starving for your nourishment ever again. So He reminds me of my daughter, and she's awesome. She's awesome. But she's had a hard go lately with like wanting to get revenge. Like she gets mad about something, really feels threatened, like either that someone is violating something that she owns or her space or her preferences or you name it. But like when someone is intentionally being annoying, or when someone takes something of hers and won't give it back, or when someone gets in her space just to be a problem and she can't get away right away. She's got 3 brothers, but also is at ballparks all the time, and she's just around a lot of people a lot of time, and she loves people. She likes being around people. So she chooses to be around people a lot, which means she's bumping up against these kind of things a lot. So I've really been working on her a lot with that, and just like coaching her really on what to do. And the Lord just like reminded me that He has a word for her, and He has a word for that. And it's not just giving her tips and tricks of what to do when she's frustrated. It's His word. of course. So like retaliating or like getting angry and lashing out, he reminded me that's revenge. That's vengeance. And what do I say about vengeance? Vengeance belongs to the Lord. And, I think growing up, what I had to deconstruct was this idea that, like, well, the Lord wants all of his people to just be nice all the time. So we've got to practice not getting mad because we're not allowed to do that. Like, that's not what he wants us to do. And what he reminded me in this is vengeance is his because he knows all the things we don't know. Like, he knows what's ahead, behind, to the left and to the right, up and down. So he sees the whole situation, not a perspective of the situation. So I remembered a time when I was mad about something and I took things into my own hands. So I told my daughter this story, and to encourage her that, number one, you're not the only person that's ever done this. And I often am the one saying, don't do this, you need to do this. And you might get the impression that I've never done what you've done or done it enough to do it a lot and learn a different way. So I kind of wanted her to have that insight. So it reminded me of when I was in high school. One of, if not my very best friend, ran for like a student government office, and she lost. And I remember like just really not believing that she lost. Like, looking back, very illogical, irrational, like, it's a high school vote. Anything can happen. But I was so sure she was going to win. And the other person who did win was a wonderful person. But just that circumstance somehow sparked this wrong belief that, like, my friend was the right one and this person was the wrong one. And the only way that could have happened is if there was like something happened that was wrong. So that needed, or not needed, but maybe that lie is what encouraged me to do what I knew was wrong. So I was hanging out with a group of friends and just talking about how we were not happy with the outcome of the election, and that there should be, like, we should play a prank, I think maybe is kind of how it started. And it was like, oh, toilet paper or whatever. And then, like, at some point it took a turn. Like, I tell my kids all the time, there is not much that happens after 9 p.m. in the dark that's good. And it was one of those things that, like, I don't remember how late it was, but I remember there was a state curfew and we were like past it. And I remember thinking, like, oh, we don't want to get caught, but like, this is what we're going to do. And like being really like giddy and excited, and having adrenaline about that it would be past our curfew. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But also maybe it matters. Like, once that one lie is believed, the other lies that can sometimes be easier to believe as a result is a pretty slippery slope that doesn't end anywhere good. But anyway, so me and this group of friends are like planning this prank, and it just got dark and bad and unkind, hateful, ugly, bad. And I didn't go into detail with my daughter. I'm not going to go into detail here, but, like when friends are like joking around, it's one thing, but then when somebody says something that they say it like it's a joke, but everybody knows that's not funny. It was kind of that. Like, we had gone into that territory. but we're lying to ourselves that it was all in good fun. It was not. And then at some point, it like wasn't fun at all. It was like, there's no way this happened. She deserves what she has coming because somebody acted dishonestly to make this election happen this way. So just complete horrible mean girl type stuff, which I can't say is the only time I did anything like that. And I don't mean this prideful. I just wanted as a point of like just an objective thing to help. This is not like something that was normal for me. There are probably 5 times that I can remember my emotions getting the absolute worst of me and acting out of those emotions in really detestable ways. And this was one of them. So anyway, I tell my daughter, like, we like basically got revenge on this girl and like played this like really awful prank, but like it wasn't really a prank. And then we got caught. So we didn't get caught there, but she found out it was us very easily because we did something stupid. And like my name was on something. And she was like, your name was on this. And also my mom thought that you guys were like surprising me with this fun thing because I won. And I just want you to know that I just like went along with it. So she wouldn't know that y'all came like to be mean. And I just like, I'm about to cry right now. Like I felt horrible. And I had every reason to feel horrible. And at the time I felt like she doesn't deserve this. So she deserves our revenge. Like this little bitty revenge is what I was telling myself. She deserves this. But I'm so glad I got caught because it like when she told me that her mom perceived it as friends being kind and she covered for me and maybe all of us, I just really got to see the sin of my vengeance like so clear. And so I explained to my daughter, like, that's why the vengeance is the Lord's. Because we often, if not always, are seeing this teeny tiny microscopic minuscule part. And if we act in vengeance on only what we know, then the odds are we will be delivering a consequence, a judgment, an action that is undeserved. And I think that resonated with her. I hope it resonated with her. And I told her, like, the next time you get angry at someone who's being annoying or someone who took something or whatever, I don't want you to feel less than or like you don't, you're not worth sticking up for. I want you to remember that the Lord sticks up for you. And little things like that are so trivial. Like they are so, I can't remember what word I used, but basically like not important, that no matter what vengeance we feel like we want to take, it can never be the route we go. Because God isn't trying to protect the person that's hurting us and not stick up for us. That's not what's happening. He's protecting us from the shame and embarrassment and guilt and hurt of acting against someone in a wrong way. So I was really grateful for that memory. I was grateful to be able to tell my daughter. And it was the first time that I actually felt like what I was telling her about feeling that way or what to do was the right thing to say. There have been so many things that came up that I'm like, why did you do that? You have to apologize. You should have stayed calm. You need to pray. And all of that's not wrong. But just the scripture of the vengeance belongs to the Lord, not to take it away from you so that you get hurt and the other person gets out of jail free. No, it's so that you can be free and the other person can be discipled, grown, led in the way that is right, not the way that's going to hurt unnecessarily or the way that's going to create something else that wasn't right. Sometimes you might go to take revenge on someone and it doesn't go well and you end up getting embarrassed. But if we keep vengeance as something that belongs to the Lord and the Lord alone, then it takes all of that out of the equation and we get to be free and trust that He's got it. He's got the perfect plan and He's going to take care of it. So I was just so grateful for that and hoping to continue to teach her and the other kids how to hear from God. So if you don't know how to hear from God, the next one is going to be worth listening to. And if you have read Living Fearlessly by Jamie Winship, if you've listened to The Deep End with Taylor Welch, if you've listened to Famous at Home with Dr. Josh Straub and Christy, all really great ways to continue to grow in how to hear from God, but also like learning to use different muscles and which muscles you already have and how to engage new ones. So anyway, that's for next time. But for this time, vengeance is the Lord's. Revenge is not for us. Forgiveness is for us. And it is hard. But the freedom from that is where it's at. So I hope this is helpful to deconstruct and reconstruct. If you've lived under the weight of vengeance and unforgiveness, I hope you can reconstruct forgiveness in its place and trust that the Lord is your protector and provider, savior, sustainer, so you can trust Him with it.